So it's 2010, I'm at the doctor's office, and he looks at me and he says, "You're 29 years old, you had a heart attack, and the damage is irreversible." And I look at him, and I'm like, am I going to live to be in my 70s? And he said, thinks about it for a couple seconds, and he goes, yeah, you could live to be in your 70s, just don't have another heart attack. Okay. I walk out the door, and I see this old lady there smoking a cigarette and eating a hamburger, and I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, why does she get to live to be that old? I'm not going to live to be that old. And I have all this anger. And then the anger is directed at my heart. Like, what the hell, man? Like, you had one job. Like, I felt like betrayed, you know, just in one thing they had to do. And then I remembered what the doctor said. Don't have another heart attack. So I started researching ways not to have another heart attack. And one day I had this Italian friend named Elena. She's like, Yossi, you should do this thing called Mysore. It is so good. And I was like, what is it? And she's like, just come with me. And she says, so she takes me to this yoga studio. And there are all these people there, just kind of like the men are wearing bathing suits and the women have tops and bottoms. And everybody's kind of doing their own thing and their own pace. And there's a guy on the floor, there's a guy doing sun salutations. It's just completely random. And the instructors are going around adjusting everybody and giving them personalized instruction. I'm like, wow. So there's two instructors. One of them is Costanza, who's this kind of short, tough-looking chick. And then there's like Arthur, who kind of looks like Jesus without the beard. And Costanza comes up to me and she gives me a couple poses to do, beginner poses, and I do them. And I'm like, okay, and she's like, great, come tomorrow. Come back tomorrow. Okay, fine. So I come back the next day and the day after. And then I basically made a deal with my heart. I spoke to my heart and I said, hey buddy, I'm gonna keep doing this and just don't have another heart attack, okay? Deal. So I'm doing this again and again. Probably been a couple weeks now. And Costanza looks at me and she takes me to the side one day and she goes, Yossi, I'm an asana or something, some asana. And I'm like, what? And she's like, toenails. I'm like, what do you mean? Cut your toenails. You have to cut your toenails. I'm like, what? She's like, you're not allowed in this class unless you cut your toenails. Okay, fine. So I cut my toenails. And I started doing the yoga, and I started progressing. I got new poses to do. The way it works is you constantly get new poses as you progress. And I started getting better. And I started getting more flexible. And I also like the simplicity of the yoga because you could just come in there, and I would just come in with my boxers. Like, I didn't have to bring any clothing or anything. I just take off my pants and, you know, just have my boxers there, do the yoga. The men were wearing bathing suits, same thing. You know, there's guys with Speedos, not the biggest deal. So I'm doing the yoga in my boxers, and I become very flexible. I become very good. And there's this pose where you kind of go like this. You know, Costanza, after a while of me doing this, maybe a couple days, Costanza, as she gives me this pose, she sees that she takes me to the side and says, Yossi, no boxers. I said, well, but she's, no boxers. I'm like, how about I double boxer? She goes, double boxer? Yeah, we're two boxers. Okay, fine. I double boxers. We had a deal. So I start double boxering, and I'm doing the yoga, and it's been a couple of months, and it becomes like this keystone habit. I started changing. Not only was I I was getting very hygienic even. I was getting flexible and hygienic. I started even brushing my teeth twice a day even. So, after a while, Costanza comes up to me one day. This is probably 2 years into it, and I was going this far. And she takes me to the side and she says, Yossi, I want to show you something. And she takes her phone, and there's an x-ray of her chest, and she has one lung. And I was like, wow. And I couldn't believe it, because Costanza was like a yoga master. I was nothing compared to her. And when I saw that, I realized, she had discipline, and I had one strike against me already. And I needed that discipline to go the extra mile. And times have changed, and I stopped doing the Mysore after 5 years, but only in the last year I went back to it. And now when I see an old lady, I don't really get that angry anymore. And that anger, because I know in my heart I'm going to live to be that age one day. And the anger toward my heart is gone. I've made peace with it.